can't relate, it is what it is. If I'm in the game, I bet I'm gonna win. Running right back, I'ma do it again. If I see you out, I might say what's up. Won't say you did good, cause I don't pretend. I'm one of the best, so give me respect. It is what it is, it is what it is. Cause we're going 10 for 10, for 10, for 10. We're going 10 for 10, for 10, for 10.
Guys are gonna be timid and not knowing what's going on. You play hard, you play together. I mean, that's all we ask.
This is what we all have to do.
Be locked in, focus, just be disciplined, all right?
Now I feel like Kyrie, I'ma have to take the shot. If they tryna call me dog, I gotta hit the box. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. I got my black hoodie with a rollie on, eating pasta like Corleone. I don't got time for no fake boy. If you got the money, gon' show me some. I got 2 whips and I'm self-paid. Never got help, bro, I'm self-made. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. Hey, what up, say? Home up in the studio, so I'm locked in. My stock going way up, I got options. Yeah, they fine, but stop playing, you not him. Wait, the numbers going up.
You got 8 seconds to prove you're worth the price of admission. And you got Baylor Scott and White Health along for the ride. So square up. You got this.
MCC has definitely benefited me most on not only what I want to do, but who I aspire to be. Expect every professor to help you become who you want to be and more. Create your own success at MCC.
RJ's Bargain Center is your home team for appliances at unbeatable prices. From refrigerators to washers, dryers to stoves, you'll find brand new appliances with huge discounts. And just like your favorite local teams, RJ's is proud to support our community and local sports. Score your savings today at RJ's Bargain Center, 711 Lynn Street, Waco. Call 254-224-6178. RJ's Bargain Center, where big savings are always a home run.
Son, all your car needs now is a stereo system. I know just the spot to go get it. Man, Jack Stereo.
Oh yeah, they're the best. How'd you know about that place?
Probably that's where my dad took me.
That's cool.
And I'm the coolest cat on the block.
Oh my God.
Need a new audio system for your new ride? Jack Stereo has been selling the best stereos and equipment for generations after generations. Come visit your local store today. Those in the know, go to Jack Stereo, Waco, Temple, Killeen, and Bryan College Station.
I've looked back at MCC with all these kids coming out here, these men and women starting their lives out here, starting their dreams and their visions of what they want to do for their family. It's the foundation for our community.
The plan is to go win.
Yes, sir.
Our girls set a goal that they wanted to win a national championship. They wanted to win a conference championship. That's been on the table from day one. And now we put ourselves in the position to do that.
Pitch hit in the air and deep to left field. Going back his way, Von Morgan at the wall. He leaps and he makes the catch for the third out.
On the line, too much to give in. If you think it's over, then let's start it again. The planets alive, the stars burn bright, the sun goes down, we keep going all night. Going back down, the moment is now. Don't miss out, we're never turning around. The light is young.
Going back in and do it. It'll go all the way to the wall. One run is scored. Rounding the third, coming home to score is Aiden Cooney.
Catch me if you can. We're renegades.
tough call and over the wall. Hits the first pitch down the right field side. That's going to be it. Touching third and coming home is the winning run. Carson Croca give a RBI double to Blake Hansen to the hand and walk it off and win by a score of 10-9.
This is why you need Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis brings the realness. Dive into the heart of sports with the most passionate commentary around. From pro to high school, Jalen's got the insight and energy you crave. Catch all the action weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network, only on YouTube. Join the conversation and elevate your sports knowledge with Centex Primetime. Don't miss it.
Need video or audio solutions? Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency, can transform any event. Check this out. We're talking live streaming that's crisp and clear, event audio that hits every note, and church video and audio solutions that'll enhance worship. Corporate events, we got those on lock too. From concerts to conferences, Lighthouse Streaming and Audio makes your vision shine. Book your appointment now at lighthousestreaming.com or call 254-252-4206 for a free consultation. Let's elevate your event and light up the stage.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jalen Gillis. You may know me from Centex Sports Network. We're starting a new platform, Recruit 254. Our mission is to highlight the amazing student athletes of 254. So if you're in the Waco, Killeen, Temple, Mart, Marlin, or any surrounding 254 areas, follow this platform and join the movement. Recruit 254. 254, let's run it up.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, CEO of Lighthouse Streaming, and you're watching Centex Sports Network.
We can't be the guys that's going to be timid and not knowing what's going on. You play hard, you play together. I mean, that's all we ask.
This is what we all have to do.
Be locked in, focus, just be disciplined, all right?
Now I feel like Kyrie, I'ma have to take the shot. If they tryna call me dog, I gotta hit the block. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. I got my black hoodie with a rollie on, eating pasta like Corleone. I don't got time for no fake boy. If you got the money, gon' show me some. I got 2 whips and I'm self-paid. Never got help, bro, I'm self-made. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. Hey, what up, say? Whole month in the studio till I'm locked in. My stock going way up, I got options. Yeah, they fine, but stop playing, you not him. Wait, the numbers going up.
You got 8 seconds to prove you're worth the price of admission. And you got Baylor Scott and White Health along for the ride. So square up. You got this.
MCC has definitely benefited me most on not only what I want to do, but who I aspire to be. Expect every professor to help you become who you want to be and more. Create your own success at MCC.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to take you through the prime time topics in sports, not just here locally, but from all around the nation. Hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Prime Time. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, click that bell so you can get notified every time that we go live here on Centex Sports Network. We got a lot to talk about here today on this Friday Eve. Finally made it to the end of the week. Definitely hope everybody stays warm this week, man. This weekend, we're going to get a freeze. I think it's going to be a pretty serious freeze. It's not like I'm a weatherman. I'm just going off of what they're saying. So make sure you guys, taking the proper precautions. If you're if you don't have, gas heating and all this kind of stuff, make sure you guys have something set up. Get you a generator, wrap the pipes, all that other stuff, man. Y'all watch the bunker stuff on YouTube, so I don't got to tell y'all how to be able to make it. But everybody, be safe this weekend for sure in the ice, and hopefully it doesn't last for too long. If we are trapped in the house, we do get plenty of sports to be able to watch. We got the AFC and NFC championship this Sunday. I'll talk about that some more here today. We'll talk about these matchups on the AFC side, matchups on the NFC side. Talk about some of the other things going on in the NFL. The Bills owner came out and had a lot to say in their press conference. We'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk some more about Indiana making some history in their historic run. Is it the best college football championship of all time? We've got to discuss that today. We'll talk some about Colorado for our Buffs fans that watch with us. Talk about some Colorado football, man. They've been making some noise in the transfer portal. I'm liking some of the moves that they have made, some of the players they picked up. We'll talk about that as well. The NFL Awards finalist list has been released. Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Rookies of the Year, all of that. We'll discuss that up here as well today on Centex Primetime. We'll talk about some of the coaching carousel. Some coaches heading to be first-time head coaches or rehired as head coaches. Some guys retaining coordinator position jobs. Eric Bieniemy heading back to Kansas City. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Brian Flores re-upping with Minnesota, staying in Minnesota. Why is he staying in Minnesota? I've talked about it before on here, but we'll talk about it some more here today. So we got plenty to talk about here on Centex Primetime. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, check out the website, CentexSportsNetwork.com. That is CentexSportsNetwork.com. Go on there and check us out. Free subscription, just need your name and your email. You'll be able to catch all of our content. That includes MCC basketball, and that's where we'll start today. We'll talk about their games they had last night as they got out on the road and played against Grayson. And this weekend, if the weather permits, I'm not sure if it will or won't, but they'll be playing against Collin College up in Plano. That is always a really good matchup on the men and women's side. They got a really good team, two really good teams in Collin this year, so it should be some great matchups for MCC basketball. So let's jump straight into it, folks. Let's start with some MCC basketball here today. The women had a 12-game winning streak ended yesterday as they lost to Grayson up in Grayson College. Had to travel, get on the road, middle of the week. Definitely a tough time, or definitely makes it tougher to be able to go up there and play against what's already a really formidable team. Grayson College came into this game ranked number 24 in the nation. MCC came into this game ranked number 6 in the nation. This game was a battle all the way through and through. MCC held the lead for a majority of that first half. In the third quarter, Grayson started to chip away at that lead some. By the time they got into the fourth quarter, it was an avalanche of momentum coming from the Grayson side. They got their home crowd into it a little bit more. Players started knocking down shots. And this is a really good team, as I said before. They were ranked number 24. I'm sure they'll be moving up after beating the number 6 team in the country. I'm sure they'll move up a couple of spots. But this is going to be a great matchup when these two teams match up once again with each other. Believe they'll play on the 21st of February. This time it'll be at the Highlands here in Waco, Texas. But in the game last night, like I said, back and forth, heavyweight matchup type of game between these two teams. They were able to just make some shots at the end. MCC turned the ball over a couple times towards the end of the game. Grayson was able to take advantage of those turnovers, and once they got the lead, they did not give it up. They got the lead with about 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game. They did not give it up after that. Susan Fambula, the guard for Grayson, played a pretty phenomenal game, had 19 points in that game, hit 3 threes, some really, really clutch shots. She was creating offense for a team along with Talea Bigelow, who had 6 assists in that game. But this Grayson team is a great unit. They play well together. They play well connected, especially on the defensive end. That's what really kind of turned the momentum around in Grayson's favor. They began to press MCC and kind of force them into some tough decisions. They were able to take advantage of those turnovers and gave them their first loss in 12 games. On the MCC side of this, how do they respond? They got to get right back on the road and play against Collin if that game happens. If that game does not happen, I believe their next game will be against Hill College that they'll be playing against next week. So that's going to be a really, Really fun game as well. Hill has got a pretty good squad this year. That's a rivalry game for MCC and for Hill every time those two teams play against each other. So that should be a really fun game. And as I look at the schedule update, they have moved the Collin game to February 2nd. That's a Monday. So they're going to have a very, very, very busy Monday coming up in a couple of weeks, or a very busy week coming up in a couple of weeks, as they're going to be playing against Collin on Monday. Well, they'll start it with next Saturday. They'll play against Temple on Saturday. Collin on Monday. They'll travel up to Plano to play against Collin. They'll play against Southwestern at Southwestern 2 days after that on a Wednesday. And then a couple of days after that on Saturday, they'll go way out to Cisco to be able to play that game. So the women are going to have a pretty stuffed schedule in rescheduling that game against Collin. But it does give them a break from playing the two best teams outside of themselves in the conference back-to-back with each other. They'll get a couple more weeks to prepare for this Collin team. But that means the next game will be a week from yesterday versus Hill. Hill is a pretty good team this year. Like I said, this is a rivalry game with MCC and Hill matchup regardless of records or who's doing good at the time. Always a really good game whenever these two teams match up, especially on the women's side. They usually have a pretty good women's program out there. MCC drops their first game in 12 games. They moved to 15-2. I don't expect them to move down in the rankings much, if they move at all. I still think they should remain in the top 10. I mean, their loss is going to come to a team that's also ranked. A team that's probably going to move up in the rankings, might move into the teens in the rankings after getting that win yesterday. All in all, MCC will be fine, man. Coach Thomas, Coach Smith, they'll get their team together, and can't hang your head, or nothing to hang your head about going on the road in the middle of the week, playing against a ranked team and losing by a few points on the road. Nothing to hang your head about that. Shots just didn't fall towards the end of the game. It was that simple. They had a chance to tie it up with about a minute left to go, weren't able to make a shot, and after that they just had to play the foul game. So it's not like this was a game where they got blown out or where they just didn't know what happened or what's going on. They make those shots at the end of the game. I think they'll be fine. They pick up their first loss, but got a great chance to get back in the win column versus Hill on next Wednesday. That'll be January the 28th when those two play against each other. That'll be MCC's next game. The men were able to take care of business yesterday, getting a win versus Grayson. Didn't get challenged much in this game. They won this 83-57. It was competitive somewhat in that first half. By the time the second half, Coach Gill and MCC really just kicked it into gear. They were able to force turnovers, get out in transition, score the ball. That's MCC's game. If they can force you into turnovers and they can get out in transition, let those athletes be athletes, let Joseph Mayberry get on the fast break, Timmy on the fast break, Amari Banks, these different guys that are dynamic players in transition. Those guys can get on the fast break by creating turnovers with their defense. That's the formula that I've seen Coach Gill use since I've been here, or since I've been covering MCC for going on 6 years now, covering them. They want to be able to lock down the other team, and they want to be able to get easy shots on the other side. That's how you get winning basketball. There's a reason Coach Gill's got 600 wins. It's because he knows the formula to winning basketball. They're off to another great start once again this year. 18-1 start for Coach Gill and his squad. Him and Coach Green doing a phenomenal job right now with MCC. They moved into the rankings now, ranked number 23 in the nation, well-deserved, I think, long overdue, as a matter of fact. They got an 18-1 resume. You look through the top 25, not a lot of teams that are 18-1. Regardless of the strength of schedule, they're running through conference. They're the reigning conference champions. They're on an 11-game winning streak. They're undefeated at home, sitting at 18-1 and 3-0 in conference play, 2-0 in the region. Why not have these guys ranked? So I'm glad to see these guys getting into the rankings, getting some of the credit that they deserve for putting together a really good season once again. They'll be in action next Wednesday facing Hill College. That should be a really good matchup. Like I said, always a rivalry game when these two teams play against each other, regardless of record, regardless of who's on the team or who's coaching the teams. Hill versus MCC is going to be a rivalry across all sports, as it should be. They're the closest school to us. Them and Temple are going to be the biggest rivals for MCC. So looking forward to a really, really good game versus Hill next week. After that, They'll get their other rivals. They'll play against Temple College. They'll play against Temple College that following Saturday after that. And just like the girls, they'll be right back on the road going to Collin on that next Monday, February the 2nd. They'll play scheduled for a 4 o'clock tip-off. So they're trying to play those games earlier. They're going to play at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock as they would on a weekend. This time they're just going to do it on a Monday instead for that rescheduled game. So the weather affecting games as usual. Lots of games rescheduled. Lots of high school games going on today in basketball in the Central Texas area to get ready for this freeze this coming up weekend. The different reporters weren't sure if it was going to be freezing Friday night or not. Now they're saying it might not freeze until early Saturday morning. A lot of schools did not take chances. They rescheduled their games. They're playing a lot of games being played in the Central Texas area tonight in the midst of basketball season. MCC will be back in action a week from yesterday. Next Wednesday, January 28th, MCC versus Hill College. That following Saturday, MCC versus Temple College. So it'll be rivalry week next week for MCC as they'll take on their two biggest rivals. All in all, both teams still off to a really, really great season. That's what MCC's got going on. Let's look at Baylor while we're looking at some of these local teams. Let's go to the other local team here in town. The Baylor Bears were not able to come out with the victory in their last game yesterday or on Tuesday versus Texas Tech. Now, I talked about this Baylor team when I was on the show here on Tuesday. They're playing decent basketball. I'm not going to say they're playing bad basketball. Playing decent basketball. But in conference, even though I know this conference is super tough, you can't get around the fact Baylor's 1-5 right now in conference play. Now, the Big 12 is the toughest conference in college basketball by far. Arizona's number 1. U of H is number 6. Texas Tech, who Baylor just lost to, is number 12. BYU's number 13. Iowa State is number 9. Kansas now moving up in the rankings after taking out some teams, including Baylor. They're number 19 in the country. 6 teams are ranked in the top 25. That's not including the West Virginians, who you know are always going to be tough. It's not including the TCUs, who Baylor's already lost to. That's not including the UCF, who's got a really good team this year. That's not including Cincinnati, who's always going to be a really tough team. So Baylor's got a lot of ground to make up. Can they make it up? I believe so. After they lost their last game versus Tech, in a game that really was never close, man. They weren't able to stop Anderson. I talked about him before the game, said how much of a force he's been this year. But Christian Anderson, man, he lit these guys up. 8 threes in that game. 8 threes Christian Anderson hit versus Baylor in their win on Tuesday. We just didn't have an answer for that. He was hitting threes. Atwell hit 7 threes also in this game. So most teams are not making 15 threes in a game. Baylor only made 7 threes as a team. Just 2 guys on Tech alone knocked out 15 threes. They made 17 as a total. Then you chip in with JT Toppin getting 22 points in this game as well. Way too much Texas Tech for Baylor to handle in that game, and I think that was the main reason for them losing this game. They're not as talented as Texas Tech. I'm just going to be honest. I love Tunde Yesufu, and I love Cameron Carr. But those guys weren't playing like Christian Anderson. Those guys weren't playing like JT Toppin. And we've got talent. We've got blue-chip talent. Got future NBA players playing on this roster with Cameron Carr, Tunde Yesufu. Some of these other guys have chances to get to the NBA too, but those are 2 bona fide NBA talents. But when you play at home against a really good team like Tech, your stars got to show up at home. Tunde Yesufu, 9 points, went 4 for 14 in that game, 1 for 7 from the three-point line. Didn't even attempt a free throw in that game. So that just shows me not really being as aggressive. Cameron Carr had 18 points in this game, but it wasn't enough for them to overcome the avalanche of threes by Texas Tech. Can Baylor make up some of this ground will be their biggest question after the 1-5 start. They've got TCU in a get-back game, in a game that I think they should have won to start off conference. That started their losing streak. They've lost to TCU, Iowa State, Houston. They win against Oklahoma State to get their only win in conference. Lose to Kansas, lose to Tech. Main problem I have with their start, even though they played against really, really, really good competition, is that most of these games are blowouts that they're losing. I mean, you lose to Houston 77-55. You lose to Kansas 80-62. You lose to Tech at home 92-73. The Houston loss and the Tech loss, you lose by 20 points, and they're both at home. That's unacceptable, man, whenever you're a team that's got tournament aspirations. Can they turn it around? For sure. I think they definitely could turn it around. But you got to win against TCU in a couple days. I think they're playing on a Sunday afternoon. You got to win against Cincinnati, going to Cincinnati that following Wednesday. You got to try to find a way, because now you're making up ground. And this is one of the toughest places to play against a really tough team. But that following Saturday, they'll be playing against West Virginia in Morgantown. That's a hard place to play in any sport. Football, basketball, wherever you're playing. Morgantown is not an easy place to come into and get a win, especially in January in the middle of basketball season. That's going to be super tough. After that, they got Colorado, and then they start their carousel of really good teams. Once again, they'll play the Iowa States. They'll play the BYUs. They'll play an out-of-conference game and play against Louisville. So you got to pick up the wins when you can. This next stretch of games, Baylor's got 4 games before they get to Iowa State. They got to find a way to go at least 3-1. They got to find a way to go 3-1. If they want to be serious about making a push towards the tournament, about making any dent in the ground they've lost in Big 12 contention, you got to try to find a way to go 3-1 over these next few games, man. I think that's the only way Baylor will be able to come out. That Baylor will be able to come out and have what they deem a successful season. We know they've got the talent, but we always got the talent. We weren't able to win with Keontae George. We weren't able to win with the VJ Edgecombe. We weren't able to win with the Jacoby Walters. So we got to find a way to win. If not, Baylor's got to make a shift. We're going to talk about transfer portal and stuff here in a little bit, but Baylor's going to have to make a shift in their recruiting philosophy. They've gotten top 5 level talent the last few years, man. Like I said, start going all the way back to Keontae George and Jacoby Walter. Jacoby Walter hasn't necessarily turned into a stud yet in the NBA, but Keontae George is a monster. I talked about him on Tuesday when I did my starting 5 for surprising players so far this year in the NBA. Keontae George is the first person I named because he's having a phenomenal year. We weren't able to win with that guy. Maybe instead of recruiting the Keontae Georges, the VJ Edgecombe, the Tunde Yesafus, maybe you go and get some of these older guys. Look at U of H. Look at Texas Tech. Look at some of these teams and how they build their teams. They're doing the Kurt Cinetti model. The Kurt Cinetti model is, let's go get a team older than all these dudes, especially in basketball. Especially in basketball. I don't want to say nobody does it, but you don't see a lot of teams doing it, going out there and playing with the roster of all 22, 23-year-olds. And that's exactly what I would do if I was a coach coaching in basketball in college right now. I wouldn't even care what the high school kid did. If we get him, we get him. If we get the Tunde Yesafus, that's cool. But then you surround him, and they've got a lot of experience on this roster now. I'm not saying it like they haven't done some of this model. They've got the Caden Powells, who's played 4 or 5 years of college basketball. They've got the Cameron Carrs, who was at Tennessee for a couple of years, now coming over here to Baylor. So they've got some older guys, but I'm talking about the fifth-year seniors. I would have those couple of stud freshmen. After that, everybody else is a 4th and 5th-year senior on my team, and we're just going to beat up on a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds all year. We'll look at Tennessee last year and what they did. Tennessee last year had a team full of 22, 23-year-olds. Look how good they were. Look how good the SEC was. Look at Florida and what they were able to do with Walter Clayton and those different guys, having an older team out there. So I think that's the philosophy Baylor has to go for if this season doesn't work out, which as of right now it doesn't look like it's working out. All you got to do is get in the tournament. I'm not saying that like the season's over, the season's lost, throw the season away, we're never going to be this, we're not good enough. No. All you got to do is get in the tournament. But there's no way you're going to get in the tournament starting off 1-5 and continuing to play that way. I didn't make much complaint about the James Najee move and bringing him in, and a guy that was drafted and he's been playing overseas and he's older and he's a pro. I'm just saying, if we're going to go get the old dudes, We got to be able to produce. He's got to be able to produce. Now, we're seeing why you didn't get no burn in the league yet if you're coming in these games and not dominating physically. You don't have to go out there and get 30 points because then they're really going to say we cheating. But you got to be able to dominate physically, bro. You've been playing against grown men. You back playing against teenagers. It's time to beat up on some people. That's what I want to see out of this Baylor team. They've got to get tougher physically. They've got to get an identity offensively. It can't be is Carr going to have a good game. It can't be is Tunde Yesufu going to just have a good game. They've got to have some type of identity offensively, and that's what I would like to see out of this Baylor squad. The Baylor women's team got another win yesterday as they took out UCF, played them at home, blew them out. They're off to a great start. They're ranked number 14 in the country. They've got an 18-3 record. They've got signature wins on the season. They've taken out the Dukes. They've taken out the Iowa States so far this season. So they've got a couple of signature wins already. Got a tough test coming up when they play against West Virginia in a couple of weeks. They still got to play against TCU twice, a game that I got to try to figure out how to get tickets to if I'm not going to be working because Talia Scott versus Olivia Miles is going to be much must-watch TV. Definitely will be a special matchup with them. But the Baylor Lady Bears off to a great start, man. Off to a great start, taking care of business and doing what they're supposed to do. Doing what you're supposed to do is beating the team you're supposed to beat. Coach Nikki Collin off to another great start with this team, man. She had huge shoes to fill coming in and stepping in for Coach Kim Mulkey a few years ago. I actually think she's done a pretty good job. People have been critical about her at times in the past. I think she's actually doing a pretty good job, man. She got the team 18-3, got them ranked number 14 in the country, and got a chance to go out here and win the Big 12. That's the biggest part about all this. They've got a chance to win. That'll be huge if they can go out and be able to get a Big 12 conference under their belt. They're leading the conference right now, 7-1 in conference play, just a half game up on TCU. They lost to Texas Tech earlier in the year, so they've got to try to get their get back on them. But outside of that, man, Baylor's in great shape to be able to win this conference. Loving what I'm seeing from Coach Collin, loving what I'm seeing from the Lady Bears so far this season. Let's go over and talk about some NFL, folks. Obviously, we saw the news, Sean McDermott being fired. I talked about it on Tuesday up here on the show. Do I think he should have been fired? Absolutely not. Was he a perfect head coach? No, but there are no perfect head coaches. Could he have done better? Sure. But reportedly, some of the reasons he got fired is questioning the validity of their championship aspirations with this roster. Questioning some of the picks that they've made on this team. Well, in an exit interview, their owner, along with their GM, Brandon Beane, who apparently was, I don't want to say essential, but played a piece and played a part of Coach McDermott losing his job. Terry Pagola, the owner of the Bills, was there with Brandon Beane, and they were asking Brandon Beane about, how do you work on getting Josh Allen some weapons? How do you work on getting him some better receivers? Especially seeing, which the reporter is really messy. Everybody blaming the Bills owner for saying stuff, but the reporter was the one that was messy first and even putting a name on it and saying with guys like Keon Coleman not panning out as if, he's already released from the team. Keon Coleman still got a key card. Keon Coleman still got his name on the Bills jersey. He's still under contract. And they're saying like he's already been released, saying he hasn't panned out for this team in just his 2 years there. Before Brandon Beane could say anything, Terry Pagula barges in and says, "Can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice from his coaching staff who felt strongly about a player." I'm starting to see some of the reasons why Buffalo hasn't won anything. And it's because of owners like Pagola who constantly want to point the fingers and say this person was wrong, this person was right. I'm keeping Brandon Beane. He was right in this situation. The coaching staff was wrong. That's why I fired the coaching staff. They were wrong. He was right. Brandon Beane later responded and saying Keon Coleman was his pick when he was clarifying the struggles of Keon Coleman and his professionalism at times. I agree. Keon Coleman wasn't a hit. But everybody in that draft room was responsible. And you know, hey, shout out to Brandon Beane. He took responsibility for it. But everybody in that draft room was responsible for drafting Keon Coleman. And I'm not sure that it's the Bills' fault for Keon Coleman not panning out. I think it's more of Keon Coleman's fault for why he hasn't panned out. I think he's just not that good. Shout out Steve Smith. He's got one of the best receiver, probably the best evaluator of receivers I think that we have right now. Seems to be right repeatedly over and over and over and over. He says Jared Jeudy wasn't going to be that good. Turned out to not be that good. He said Cooper Kupp was going to be the best receiver out of his class. Turned out to be the best receiver out of his class. He said that T-Mac was going to be a good receiver for the Panthers. He's turned out to be good. Well, he also said Keon Coleman was not going to be a good receiver. And that I don't think that took astute analysis to pick up if you watched him play at Florida State. He's a jump ball guy. Everybody was talking about, man, watch his basketball highlights. He played basketball at Michigan State as well. Well, he plays football like a basketball player, somebody that can jump. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's not a good route runner. Doesn't have the greatest hands. Is that the Bills' fault? No, not necessarily, even though they saw some of these flags beforehand. I think it was kind of immature for Terry Pagula to come out and just place the blame on the coaching staff because it's pretty easy to do once you've kicked them out the door already. You probably can blame everything on them. Whenever you've already fired him, you can probably put the blame for anything else you could think of on this guy as well. I don't think it was right for him to try to put all the blame on the last coaching staff for Keon Coleman not working out or for their lack of acquisitions at the receiver position for Josh Allen. They tried. I mean, they got him Stephon Diggs. The relationship soured for multiple different reasons. I don't think it's necessarily their fault. He also had more to say that it was his decision to fire Coach Sean McDermott. He said, after I went in the locker room and I looked at Josh Allen's face and he's crying, and looked at the player's face and they're crying, I knew that he had to let talking about Sean McDermott go. I don't know how he knows that. I don't know how going in the locker room, he said he tried to talk to Josh Allen and Josh Allen didn't even respond to him, which let him know he's so distraught. Or maybe he just doesn't feel like talking football with you after we just lost in a crazy game. Emotions are super high. The loss just happened, and you come in and say, hey, that was a catch, bro. It don't matter if it was they going home regardless. Cancun is already being booked regardless. So coming in and saying it should have been a catch and I think you did a great job, that doesn't mean anything. No, I'm not going to respond to you right now. He's in the middle of crying because he was upset about losing. He knows this was the best chance that he's going to have probably to win a Super Bowl. No Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. I don't know if that's going to happen again over the next 10 years. All that's left, C.J. Stroud, Jared Stidham, Drake May. He's like, I got to go find a way to win, and they weren't able to do it. I think Josh Allen still had a good season. He was definitely able to overachieve. Had to put the Superman cape on multiple times because that offense is just not that good. They've got a good offensive line. They got a good running back. As far as pass catching, it's mid at best. At best, it's mid if you're talking about his receivers, his pass catchers. Doesn't have a lot to work with there. But pretty interesting comments from the Bills owner, Terry Pagula. They're still on their coaching search. You let go of Sean McDermott, a guy that's had you in the playoffs just about the last decade since he's been on the team, since he's been the head coach. They've been in the playoffs pretty much almost every single year. You let go of that guy, who do you get next? I don't know if Mike Tomlin's coming to coach Buffalo. John Harbaugh's already took a job at the Giants. Ravens just got their coach. Who's left? Who's left? You're going to be picking and fighting for coaches with the Cleveland Browns and Arizona Cardinals. Everybody else is getting their coaches out the way. Robert Saleh headed to Tennessee. Kevin Stefanski headed to Atlanta. People grabbing the veteran coaches. You could see a Mike McCarthy maybe here, but Pittsburgh's still looking for their coach. I don't know. I don't know why Terry Pagula had so much to say in that press conference. Well, he owns the team, man, so I get it. If I own the team, I get in there and say whatever I feel like saying as well, and do whatever I feel like doing as well. Houston Texans fall to the New England Patriots. Obviously, yeah, I'm bringing it up once again. Should the Texans move on from C.J. Stroud? I addressed this on Tuesday somewhat. The questions keep coming up, the rumors keep coming up, and people bringing things up. They're not moving on from C.J. Stroud, man. C.J. Stroud is going to be the quarterback of the Houston Texans. He's going to get his best buddy back. Tank Dell will be back. Reports are saying he's attacked rehab well, and he's going to be participating in the April workouts. Which, I mean, it doesn't mean much, man. We know what we got to do going into next year. Got to get an offensive line. We got to solidify the running back position. I think Woody Marks is a great change of pace back with the injury to Joe Mixon and what was described as a freak foot injury. They're now questioning, will he even be able to play next season? He missed this entire season, and they're saying, will he be able to play next season either? So at that point, hey, man, it's time to move on from Joe Mixon. Hope, it wasn't his last game in the NFL that he played, but hey, man, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. He's an older back. He didn't play it all this season and potentially could miss all of next season. Got to find a running back. Offensive line and running back. The defense, the one job is don't touch it. Bring every single person back that you can bring back. Get Jalen Petrie paid. Get the guys paid. Get Azeez Al-Shahir paid. Get ready to back the Brinks truck up for Will Anderson, who might be the best defensive player in football outside of Myles Garrett, who's playing next to the most underrated pass rusher of all time in Daniil Hunter. Coach D'Amico's doing a great job with the defense. Lead the defense. We need a running back, need an offensive line with Houston, but C.J. Stroud is not going anywhere. Can the Denver Broncos win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback? We've seen this a couple of times. We've seen Nick Foles take over before and win a Super Bowl. We've seen in the 90s when the Giants are able to win a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. We've seen mediocre quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Trent Dilfer, if you want to consider him mediocre. Brad Johnson win Super Bowls. I think yes. I think the most complete team left in the playoffs in the NFL is the Denver Broncos, in my opinion. The Denver Broncos have the best defense left in the playoffs. They have the most experienced coach left in the playoffs. We've seen Sean Payton go out before in New Orleans when Drew Brees would be hurt and go 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater and win games with Taysom Hill at quarterback and win games with Jameis Winston at quarterback. Why can't he do it with Jarrett Stidham? A guy that's been in this program for 3 years. He was there with Russell Wilson, backing up Russell Wilson. He was there. He's been Sean Payton's guy. He's been in all the meetings with Bo Nix the last 2 years. He knows the offense in and out. He knows the offense just as good, if not better, than Bo Nix. I think Jarrett Stidham's a very serviceable backup. I talked about his Central Texas ties. He's a Stephenville kid, was a phenomenal player at Stephenville. Came to Baylor, was a part of the best years, the end of the best years of Baylor football, in my opinion. He was a part of that, coming in his freshman year, getting thrown into the starting lineup once Seth Russell was hurt. Central Texas guy, but I think he can play. I think he's one of the better backups in the league. I think he's a guy that can go out. He needs to win 2 games. 2 games. Now, they're the 2 biggest games you could possibly go out and play. But can he do it? I think so. I think Jarrett Stidham, I think Sean Payton, I think this defense has enough to be able to not only go out and win against New England on Sunday, but to beat the Rams or the Seahawks. Now, that doesn't mean I'm picking the Broncos for the Super Bowl. I'm picking them to beat New England. That's my upset pick of the week. I'm picking them to beat New England. New England's favored in this game, obviously, as they should be favored in this game. Even though they're playing on the road, they've got the MVP runner-up in Drake May. They're playing with a backup that hasn't played football, that hasn't thrown a pass in the regular season, I think in 700 days is what they said it'll be. I think Jarrett Stidham is in prime position to be able to go out, win this game. He's playing at home, playing against a Patriots team that offense just has not been impressive. He's not playing against their offense. He's playing their defense. And yes, their defense was impressive versus the Houston Texans. But their offense has shown that they haven't been able to move the ball like that. They were barely able to move the ball against the Chargers. They were barely able to move the ball against the Texans. Now, obviously, the Texans are the best defense in the league. But this Broncos defense is right there with it. They're right on par with that Texas defense. I think them playing at home, them being a mile high, they've got the altitude. New England's got to fly across the country to go play in this game. I like Denver. I like Denver in the game. They're favored. New England's favored by 4.5 points. I'll take Denver in the points. I'll take them in that 4.5 points to start my Sunday parlays off. I'll go ahead and take Denver in this game. New England's got a 59% chance to win this game. Like I said, they're favored. But I'll take the experience of Sean Payton. I'll take what I've seen him do with backup quarterbacks in the past. And I'll take this defense led by the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Pat Surtain. And I'll take them in this game. Give me the Broncos headed to the Super Bowl. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. This will be their third time playing this year. Both games separated by less than 3 points. Both games, really, really good games. I'm taking Matt Stafford in the experience in this game. I know what Sam Darnold has done this year has been great. I know he was banged up going into the San Francisco game and they blew San Fran out. But this is not San Francisco. This is a Hall of Fame quarterback on the other side in Matt Stafford. This is a potential Hall of Fame coach in Sean McVay. He's got one already. He's been to 2 Super Bowls already. One of the better offensive play callers in the game. One of the brightest minds we have as far as NFL coaching in the entire league. They're not going to be any slouch. You're playing against Jared Verse, playing against Brandon Fisk, you're playing against Byron Young. These guys can get after the football. Their DBs leave a lot to be desired, but got to give them credit for how they played in that game against Chicago, albeit it was terrible weather, it was snowing out there and all that. The DBs stepped up when all week everybody talked about how weak the DB room was and how weak the DBs were going to be. So credit to them for stepping up and playing big in that game. But like I said, I got the Rams. I think when it comes down to it, I'm going to trust Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold 10 times out of 10. I'm going to trust Sean McVay over the Seattle coach 10 times out of 10. I know Seattle's got a formidable running game. It's going to be weakened. Zach Charbonnet out for the season after getting hurt in that game versus San Francisco. I think that's going to be a big push for them. I think that's going to affect them. Now they get to single in on Kenneth Walker. There's no change of pace back. Obviously, they'll be putting some other guys in there to try to replicate that success. But that was one of the best, if not the best, 1-2 punch in the league at the running back position. You're not going to be able to just replace that right away. Kenneth Walker is still really good. Jackson Smith and Jigba led the league in receiving yards this year. He's played phenomenal. But he's got to be able to get that ball out in time. It's going to be a really, really close game, as it was in their first 2 matchups. This is going to be as a toss-up of a game that you can have. But in this toss-up game, I'm going with Matt Stafford. I'm going with the guy that's the best quarterback left in the playoffs. I'm going with the guy that, in my opinion, is already a Hall of Famer. And if he's able to go out here and win another Super Bowl, like I think he can, will put himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer. If they're considering putting Eli Manning in because he's got 2 rings, then Matt Stafford should be first ballot. No questions asked, Hall of Famer. Give me the Rams in this game. Seattle's favored by 2.5 points in this game. I'll still take the Rams, and I'll take them on the points. Probably take them on the money line as well, man. I like you can get a better bang for your buck on the money line. I might take them on the money line. I like what the Rams can do. Matt Stafford is my MVP. We'll talk about MVP in the NFL awards in just a minute. That's my pick for those games. I got the Rams versus the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. Who do I have out of those 2 teams? We'll have to wait and see if my predictions come true going into next week. We're getting ready to take a break here on Centex Primetime, folks. When we come back, lots to talk about still. Got to talk some college football, talk about the historic season for Coach Kurt Cinetti. Was this the best season of all time in college football? We'll still talk some NBA as well. And we'll talk about the NFL awards, MVP, Coach of the Year, all of that. The finalist list have been put out. We'll break it down and see who we have. So stay tuned right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back.
Who's that? It's Sam.
You can't be the guys that's going to be timid and not knowing what's going on. You play hard, you play together. I mean, that's all we ask.
This is what we all have to do.
Be locked in, focus, be disciplined, all right?
Now I feel like Kyrie, I'ma have to take the shot. If they tryna call me dog, I gotta hit the block. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. I got my bad hoodie with a rollie on, eating pasta like Corleone. I don't got time for no fake boy. If you got the money, go and show me some. I got 2 whips and I'm self-paid. Never got help, bro, I'm self-made. Started from the bottom, but we made it to the top. And I told them time is money, that's why I don't ever stop. Hey, what up, say? Home up in the studio, till I'm locked in. My stock going way up, I got options. Yeah, they fine, but stop playing, you not him. Wait, the numbers going up.
You got 8 seconds to prove you're worth the price of admission. And you got Baylor Scott and White Health along for the ride. So square up. You got this.
MCC has definitely benefited me most on not only what I want to do, but who I aspire to be. Expect every professor to help you become who you want to be and more. Create your own success at MCC.
RJ's Bargain Center is your home team for appliances at unbeatable prices. From refrigerators to washers, dryers to stoves, you'll find brand new appliances with huge discounts. And just like your favorite local teams, RJ's is proud to support our community and local sports. Score your savings today at RJ's Bargain Center, 711 Lynn Street, Waco. Call 254-224-6178. RJ's Bargain Center, where big savings are always a home run.
Son, all your car needs now is a stereo system. Now I know just the spot to go get it. Man, Jack Stereo.
Oh yeah, they're the best. How'd you know about that place?
Bro, that's where my dad took me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm the coolest cat on the block.
Oh my God.
Need a new audio system for your new ride? Jack Stereo has been selling the best stereos and equipment for generations after generations. Come visit your local store today. Those in the know, go to Jack Stereo, Waco, Temple, Killeen, and Bryan College Station.
I've looked back at MCC with all these kids coming out here, these men and women starting their lives out here, starting their dreams and their visions of what they want to do for their family. It's the foundation for our community.
The plan is to go win.
Yes, sir.
Our girls set a goal that they wanted to win a national championship. They wanted to win a conference championship. That's been on the table from day one. And now we put ourselves in the position to do that.
Pitch hit in the air and deep to left field. Going back is Rayvon Morgan at the wall. He leaps and he makes the catch for the third out.
On the line, too much to give in. If you think it's over, then let's start it again. The planet's alive, the stars burn bright, the sun goes down, we keep going all night. Don't back down, the moment is now. Don't miss out, we're never turning around. The is young.
Fielder going back in into it. It'll go all the way to the wall. One run is scored. Now the third coming home to score is Aiden Cooney.
Catch me if you can. We're renegades.
It's this one here in right field. It is treetop call and over the wall.
We're renegades. We're renegades. We're renegades. Listen up, listen up.
Hits the first pitch down the right field side. That's going to be it. Touching third and coming home is the winning run, Carson Croca. Give a RBI double to Blake Hansen. And the Highlanders walk it off and win by a score of 10-9.
We're renegades.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis still here in the final part of the show here today. We want to thank everybody for watching with us here today, and not only today, but all week long. We've had a fun week up here with Centex Primetime, with MCC basketball as well. We've got more coming up next week. The game for this weekend has been canceled. The game versus Collin, not canceled, it's been rescheduled to February 2nd on a Monday. Early Monday, we'll get some really, really good basketball on February 2nd. They'll be playing against Collin. So the next game won't be until a week from yesterday. They'll play against Hill College at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. All the coverage will be right here on Centex Sports Network. We just got done wrapping up talking about the NFL. We talked about the Bills owner and his crazy comments. We've talked about the firing of Sean McDermott. Talked about some MCC basketball in the first part of the show as well. Talked about the games coming up and the games they just finished playing yesterday. We talked about the AFC and NFC championships, so go back, rewind it. We'll be putting clips out from this as well. Go back, rewind if you haven't. If you want to see what we said about the games, get some analysis, maybe even get some last-minute betting picks in as well. Final part of the show here, folks. I want to go over a couple more things. Hit a little bit of some college football. Also, I want to talk about the NFL awards and what's going on there. Some coaching hires in the NFL as well. A couple of quick takes about what's going on around the world of sports as well. So we'll touch on a little bit of that. And we'll close it out with some NBA as well. Let's jump over and talk about some college football. Kurt Cinetti and the Indiana Hoosiers pull off the impossible. The literal impossible is what they did, turning that program around from the worst football program in the history of college football all the way to national champions in just 2 years. Don't think we really give enough credit for how crazy it is for him to not only win at such a porous program like Indiana, but for Kurt Cinetti to do it in 2 years. Heard somebody say this earlier. Kurt Cinetti is what we wanted, what we expected out of Coach Deion Sanders. He came in, Coach Prime came from a lower level. Like Kurt Cinetti. Kurt Cinetti came from JMU. Coach Prime came from Jackson State. Gets the big shot, goes to Colorado. Team that was terrible. Team that had no aspirations of winning. The football program was in the trash. Helps turn them around, but not to the extent of what we expected. We expected it, and that could just be us with our high expectations for Coach Prime because we've only seen him be elite at everything he's done. But we expected in 2 years for them to be competing for a championship. 3 years, 4 years to be competing for a championship. Colorado's not on that track right now. Matter of fact, they had one of their worst seasons last year. That's kind of what we expected, but Kurt Cinetti actually came in and did it. Now, this isn't a saying Kurt Cinetti is doing this and Coach Prime is not. I don't even think their situations are the same. Not to mention, Coach Prime, all leading up to football season last year, was battling serious health conditions, life-threatening health conditions. And I think it's tough to have your team ready to go to only think about football when something way more important than football is right in front of your face and happening. So I give Coach Prime grace for that. I get it. Trying to juggle both is a tough thing to do. But it also shows how great of a coaching job was just done by Kurt Cinetti and by this Indiana Hoosiers team, man, to pull this off. To go out there and win with no 5 stars, with older guys, with guys coming from the lower levels in D2 or D1 division or D1 AA football at JMU. Aiden Fisher came from JMU. Elijah Surratt came from JMU. He brought his guys in and was able to compete in their first year, get him to the playoffs, which already would have been enough to have him pretty much with a statue built at Indiana, getting them to the college football playoffs. But to then, in your very next year, win the championship, beating Ohio State, beating Oregon twice. The only losses on the season were to Indiana. Taking out a really, really good Miami team as well, man. So definitely shout out to Kurt Cinetti and the coaching job they were able to do. Is this one of the greatest college football championships of all time? Now, I get it. There's been teams that are better than this Indiana team. I'm not saying that at all. But I think this is right up there for one of the best, if not the best, coaching years, college football championship runs of all time because of all the circumstances I just laid out a second ago. You have to think about where Indiana was to them winning a national championship and how crazy that is to truly appreciate and say that this is one of the best championships. Could they beat 2019 LSU? No. Would they beat 2001 Miami? They might lose by 40. But in comparing those seasons into what they were, 2019 LSU, I mean, they got guys that are going to be in the NFL for a decade plus. 2001 Miami had guys in the NFL for a decade plus. They got 3 Hall of Famers on that team. Andre Johnson, Ed Reed, Vince Wilfork, 17 first-round picks. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. 2020, Alabama with Tua and all those guys. Devontae Smith wins a Heisman, or Mac Jones, I believe, that was there. They're up there in consideration. 95, Nebraska. I mean, their average margin of victory was 39 points. They averaged 52 points a game. They allowed 14 points a game. That could be considered. One of my favorite teams of all time, 2005, Texas with Vince Young winning the Heisman and beating USC in the Rose Bowl. Their team only allowed 11 points a game. Those are all great teams. 2013, Florida State, which I don't think gets enough recognition. They allowed 12 points a game. They averaged 52 points a game. They went 14-0. Jameis Winston won the Heisman. The average margin of victory was 40 points. I think the highest margin of victory average in the history of the NCAA. You got Cam Newton at the Auburn season. All those teams are great, and what they've done are great. But I put this Indiana season, I put the Auburn season with Cam Newton in such high regard from thinking about where they came from to climb that hill and to get all the way to the college football championship. At that time was the BCS, where you had to be number 1 or number 2 to even get a chance to compete in the championship. I know those are great seasons, but I'm putting Indiana right up there with just about any of those seasons, man. To think about the level of talent that some of these other teams had. I mean, these other guys had 10-plus NFL guys on all those teams. I don't know if Indiana's got 10-plus NFL guys on this team, on the entire team. They're going to have the number 1 pick in Fernando Mendoza. Pons is going to the draft. Surratt will be in the draft. The different guys, the bigger names, the Aiden Fishers, he'll be in the draft. But all these guys aren't going to be draft guys. They're not going to be NFL guys. So to see him go out there and win against teams full of NFL guys. Miami is full of NFL guys. Ohio State is full of NFL guys. Oregon, full of NFL guys. I think for all those reasons, you got to put this season up there in high regard for Coach Cinetti, man, and what he's been able to do with this team. So shout out to Indiana. I definitely have them up there as one of the best college football champions of all time because of all those factors I just laid out. Colorado, what is the noise they have made in the transfer portal? I just talked about Curt Cinetti. Colorado kind of had the approach that Curt Cinetti had. We're going to go into the transfer portal and we're going to revamp a team and we're going to try to win it all. That's the philosophy Colorado has followed. And I think last year they went after some big names in the transfer portal. They went after some big names in high school, get guys like Juju Lewis and different things. But I think this year they're taking the approach of a Curt Cinetti. They're saying, we're not going to go and get these top-ranked guys. Now, I'm not saying that this hasn't been their philosophy because Coach Prime said this 2 years ago. I'm not going to chase to pay all these guys out of high school with no production, not even knowing what they're going to do, and then they can get right in the transfer portal and leave. But I can go and get guys that are already productive playing college football. But I feel like last year in the transfer portal, they kind of got away from that philosophy and tried to get some guys that, might have played at bigger schools and maybe he can do this here and maybe we'll fill in the gap here. This time, they went away from that. They went and got straight production. When I had Rocky on there a couple of weeks ago, he said they're paying interceptions, they're paying tackles, they're paying touchdowns, they're paying production in college football, and that's what they went out here and got, man. On the defensive side of the ball, going out and getting Boo Carter from Tennessee was huge. Boo Carter was one of the biggest names in the transfer portal, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So going out and getting him, I think, kind of set the tone to say, hey, we're serious about coming out here and winning games. Getting LaFeo from Texas, a guy that started on a Texas team that I think was one of the best defenses in the SEC last year. The offense didn't catch up till towards the end of the year, but I think that was one of the best defenses in the SEC and one of the best defenses in the country. He was a starter on that defense. He was a big part of that defense. Them getting LaFeo, I think, is huge because they've been missing at that linebacker spot for a couple of years now, and it's hurt them. It's hurt them. Last year, their linebacker core was just not, it just wasn't good enough. Just being straight up, it was not good enough. Adding a guy like LaFeo is huge. Adding a guy like Gideon ESPN Lambron, who his middle name is literally ESPN. Don't know how his dad got away with doing that. Reports that he just hurried up and signed it before the mom could figure it out. But his name's actually ESPN. He's a guy that was a standout at Bowling Green. A guy that's getting a lot, that had a lot of production at Bowling Green. See, bringing up those guys from smaller schools that are older, that have seen a lot of football, and that have consistently had production, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get out of these guys most of the time. Getting a Lampron, getting a Boo Carter, getting a LaFeo, going and getting two really good safeties in the transfer portal. Raiden Fontenette from Vanderbilt, who had a really good season this year, was one of the better defenders on the Vanderbilt team that had a pretty good defense. Getting a Jaden Hardy as safety from Oklahoma, another guy that played a lot of football, that's played in the SEC, that's played meaningful football, played in the college football playoffs. Bringing a guy like that in as well, man, I'm I do this every year, but I'm excited to see what does this look like. They get a Cree Thomas, a guy that's a former big-name corner coming out of high school that went to Notre Dame. Can he return and be that big-name guy coming out of transferring from Notre Dame and coming over to Colorado? Then on the offensive side of the ball, they have a philosophy change. Honestly, the last couple of years, even when Shedeur was there, I hated their offense. I hated the way their offense was ran. Pat Shurmur, it just wasn't the right offense for that team. It wasn't a productive offense for college. Could it have, they say it's the NFL style offense. Could that have worked? It worked when you got Shedeur, when you got Travis Hunter, when you got Jimmy Horn and LeJontay Wester. Yeah, it works because those are players and not plays. So it works then, but when you get Caden Salter, who's not on the same level as Shedeur, when you get some of these receivers last year that are not Travis Hunter, that aren't Jimmy Horn, that aren't LeJontay Wester, it didn't work out. They go and get the head coach from Sacramento State, bring him in. He's running what they call the go-go offense, but it's really just a run-and-shoot offense. Bringing in weapons. They're going to spread the ball out. Yeah, they lost Amarian Miller in the transfer portal. Yeah, they lost Draylen Miller in the transfer portal. Yeah, they lost a couple other guys, Isaiah Harge in the transfer portal. But when you bring it in and replace him with, once again, production, DeAndre Moore, huge pickup for him. He was the second leading receiver on that Texas team last year. Once again, played in big games, played against big-name competition, played in the SEC, which we all know is the toughest ball in college football. He's going to come in and slide in and be a true number one, I think. He go out there next to Joseph Williams, some of the other guys that were there. I'd like to see how they're going to use Quentin Miller more in that offense, the young gun out of Fort Worth, who they brought in. Then you go and get a Danny Scudero, a guy that's been one of the most productive players in college football the last couple of years, playing at San Jose State. I'm sure there are plenty of teams calling for his services. For Colorado to land him can be a true guy in the slot, sure-handed, a guy that knows how to win one-on-one, and a guy that's been unstoppable the last couple of years. Just go look at the tape and go look at the numbers that he's putting up. Sacramento State coach bringing some guys with him though as well. Ernest Campbell at receiver, guy that had production at Sac State, but a guy that's a track dude. He got real track speed. Ran a 10-1-2 in the 100. A guy that's really got some burners. Man, they're going to let it fly. They're going to let it fly this year on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that's what they need to do. Last year was too conservative. I hated their play calling on third downs. Seemed like they weren't able to really just get big plays whenever they needed them. I think that's going to change. This is going to be a run-and-shoot type of offense. This is going to be an offense that's trying to go deep. This is going to be an offense that's trying to score points with Juju Lewis, who stayed at Colorado, who didn't flip, who didn't switch his commitment, stayed at Colorado, as Coach Prime said, not running from the smoke, staying there, and he's going to have a plethora of weapons. I'm excited to see what this offense can look like. They bring in they're getting a big name recruit out of the high school rank, a guy out of here in Texas, Cam Newton. Not that Cam Newton, but another Cam Newton at running back that can come in and maybe be and can help them right away. You know, they still got Michael Welch, who actually, he played decent last year. They just couldn't really block for him like that. Offensive line and defensive line are going to be the biggest question marks. They've got a lot of guys in the transfer portal. It's not for a lack of guys. It's just for, can these guys produce? Can these guys play? You get a Cedric Smith from Maryland to come out there and play. You bring in another guy that was productive from San Jose State on the outside. You get a Bo Hughley that was a big offensive tackle coming from Georgia. You get a Taj White, big tackle coming from Rutgers. You got some guys there. But can these guys play? That's what we have to figure out. We don't know. We don't know, can they play on this level? Can they play consistently on this level? And can they produce consistently? That's what they're going to be trying to figure out of these guys. But all in all, man, I love what Coach Prime has done in this transfer portal. I think they're attacking it the right way. They're going out and looking for production instead of looking for high school stats. That is what it is. These are high school stats these guys are living off of. A lot of these recruits. Some of these guys in the transfer portal are getting paid big money based off of what they did in high school. Coach Prime not taking that philosophy. He says, hey, I'm going to pay the guys that are doing something already in college football. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Yeah, they lost some really big pieces. The Jordan Seaton one, obviously, the biggest L they're going to take on the season. But I like the other moves that these guys have made. I like the philosophy that Coach Prime is going with. And I'm ready to see what it looks like. I'm ready to see what it looks like out there on the field. The NFL awards have named their finalists for the different awards, and I want to discuss some of these awards before we get off of here today, folks, and talk about some of these awards and who are some of the guys that I have for some of these awards. Did they get it right with some of these guys in the awards? And then we'll talk a little bit of NBA before we get out of here. First, we got to start with the biggest award, the MVP. They've named their 5 finalists for MVP. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, and Matthew Stafford have been named the 5 finalists for MVP. First, I was surprised to see Christian McCaffrey in there. Not that I didn't think he was deserving of it, but we all know MVP is a quarterback award. He's not going to win it. But just for him to finish top 5, probably for the second time, I think. I think they did it a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. I think he was a top 5 finalist at MVP. So to have that on your resume as a top 5 finalist for MVP at running back in this day and age is huge because they don't give MVPs to running backs anymore. Adrian Peterson, I believe, the last running back to get MVP. They didn't give it to Saquon last year, and he got the most yards in NFL history for a total season, including the playoffs. He got the most yards in NFL history. They didn't give it to him last year. This is going to be another quarterback year. I think Matthew Stafford is going to win. That's my pick. His stats, they speak for themselves. 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the year, 4,700 yards. You get close to a 5,000-yard season. You got a 46-8 touchdown to interception ratio. It's got to be him. 12-5 on the season. They dropped a couple games towards the end of the season. I think if they got those, he'd be the clear-cut favorite. My number 2 vote getter would be Drake May, though. I give it to Drake May for sure. For the season that he's had, for the season the Patriots had. Definitely didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming from Drake May. Not this early. It's super early in it. This is Mike Vrabel's first year. He's my coach, my vote for Coach of the Year, but we'll talk about that in a second. But my MVP vote, I have to give that to Matt Stafford. I think he's going to win MVP and Super Bowl MVP this year, but that'd be getting ahead of myself. Let me just stick with the MVP right now. That's my vote for MVP. Coach of the Year. 5 candidates for Coach of the Year. Liam Cohen with the Jacksonville Jags. Ben Johnson from the Chicago Bears. Mike McDonald from the Seattle Seahawks. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots. As I just said a second ago, my vote, if I had a vote, would be going to Mike Vrabel in the New England Patriots. To win 14 games with a team that was, you were picking second in the draft just a couple years ago for a reason. It's a team that was in a tailspin after the absence of Tom Brady. They made the playoffs one more time after that. The next year with Mac Jones, and after that, they've been on the downhill slide, trying to get back to championship contention. Well, they're right back in that. Mike Vrabel, a huge part of it. I said in the offseason right here on this show before the season started, I loved all the moves they made in the offseason. I gave them the number 1 draft grade, the number 1 grade for the offseason with the guys they went out and got. and it's paying dividends. We're looking at Stephon Diggs catch the ball in the end zone last week in the playoffs. We're looking at Carlton Davis, a guy they added, get 2 picks. We're looking at Milton Williams, a guy they added from the Eagles, get multiple different pressures from up the middle. All these acquisitions that they made, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think Mike Vrabel is the coach of the year. My number 2 would actually be Kyle Shanahan, just for them winning 12 games and getting to the divisional round with the amount of injuries they had. Brock Purdy missed time, Kittle out for the season, Fred Warner out for the season, no number 1 receiver. We don't know what happened with Brandon Ayuk. It's going to go down as the worst contract signings in NFL history. They pay a guy, comes out, plays a couple games, tears his ACL. The next year doesn't play, back and forth with the team, beefing with the team on social media, all this stuff. The GM, Lynch, came out and said a couple of days ago that Brandon Ayuk's played his last game for the 49ers, so we know he's going to be gone. All that he had to overcome. Nick Bosa's out for the season. Fred Warner out for the season. Still won 12 games, still be competitive week in and week out. Man, Kyle Shanahan will be right there for my number 2 on Coach of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year award. Finalists: Will Anderson, Nick Bonitto, Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, Michael Parsons. Shout out Michael Parsons for still being in the top 5 discussion after missing, the last 5-6 weeks of the season after he tore his ACL. He's a guy that would have been right up there for this award, but we all know who the award is going to, man. Myles Garrett broke the record. He broke the record. Myles Garrett's the Defensive Player of the Year. He should have gotten MVP votes. If his team wasn't so terrible, I think he would have actually got MVP votes. But he's clearly the Defensive Player of the Year. I think Will Anderson's got a great chance to be able to get this award in the future. I think he's the best defensive player in football outside of Myles Garrett. Nick Bonitto has had a phenomenal year as well. Aiden Hutchinson, a guy that I always say I'm so glad the Jaguars were idiots and decided to pick Trayvon Walker number 1 over Aiden Hutchinson number 1 because Trayvon Walker could run fast and jump high. Not saying that Trayvon Walker's a scrub. He can play. But, man, if he would have been – I'd much rather have Trayvon Walker trying to get my quarterback than Aiden Hutchinson 2 times a year. So I'm glad Aiden Hutchinson is not in the AFC South with my Houston Texans. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year, the finalists: Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, Bijan Robinson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Now, this one was kind of tough. This one was kind of tough for me to pick through who would be it. Drake May obviously had a phenomenal season this year as well. Christian McCaffrey, both of those guys in the MVP voting. Puka Nacua, great year this year. 1,700 yards receiving, true number 1 receiver. Jackson Smith and Jigba led the league in receiving yards of 1,793 receiving yards, 793 receiving yards this season. But my pick would be Bijan Robinson for this award. Rushed for just about 1,500 yards on the season. Also was a huge, huge threat in the passing game as well. Almost caught 1,000 yards, got 79 receptions, 820 yards, 4 touchdowns. He would definitely be my Offensive Player of the Year. Over 2,000 yards of total offense on the season. 11 touchdowns total on the season. Bijan Robinson, I think, is the best running back in the NFL. I'm taking him over Saquon. I'm taking him over Derrick Henry. I'm taking him over James Cook. I think Bijan Robinson is the most complete back in the NFL. And hopefully Kevin Stefanski can get this right, unlike he did with Shador and the Cleveland Browns. But hopefully he can get this right with Bijan Robinson. I mean, you coming in with big guns when you go to the Falcons. That's why it was one of the better jobs. Outside of the quarterback position, you got Kyle Pitts, who made All-Pro at tight end, finally paying off. Drake London, I think, is a real deal number 1 receiver out there playing the X. I think he's a top 10 receiver in the league. Bijan, the best back in the league. Now, if Kevin Stefanski can't make this offense work, can we stop putting him over these teams? I know he's 2-time Coach of the Year, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. Baker Mayfield didn't like some comments made. He took a couple shots at Kevin Stefanski as well. But if he don't get this right, let's stop recycling some of these coaches, bro. Maybe that offense just ain't that good. If he's not able to get this right with the guys he's got out there right now. Rookie of the Year awards. This final awards. Rookie of the Year's awards. We're looking at the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. The finalists: Jackson Dart, Emeka Ibuka, Travion Henderson, T-Mac or McMillan out of Carolina, and Tyler Show, who I got to give some love to. Tyler Show, man, I said that was the worst pick in the draft. I'm drafting you that early. Not saying that you're not the worst pick in the draft. I'm just saying, or not saying that you're the best pick in the draft. I'm just saying now that you aren't the worst pick in the draft. Tyler Show definitely showed he could play, or that Kellen Moore can scheme it up. Towards the end of that year, they put together some wins on a Saints roster that has no talent. It's Chris Olave, and that's it. No talent on the offensive side of the ball. They've got a lot of work to be able to do. Kelvin Banks, that they drafted out of Texas, I think was big for them again this year. They had the most rookie production out of any rookies, ranked by Pro Football Focus. Had the most rookie production out of all their rookies. So Tyler Show definitely a big part of that. But I would probably go with T-Mac out of Carolina, man. I think he played great. I think he's gonna be a number one for the Carolina Panthers for the foreseeable future. They struck out when they drafted Xavier Legette. I'm putting him in that DK Metcalf category. I think DK is a little bit better than him, but not much. Big, fast, can jump, shorts, All-American type guys. Xavier Legette, not a number one. I don't know if he's a number two or a number three either. But T-Mac, they definitely got that right. He's a number one. He had 1,000 yards on the season, 7 touchdowns on the season. He will be my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Mecca Ibuka right there. I think if he would have stayed healthy throughout the season, he would have been my pick. He started off on fire to start the season before injuries kind of derailed him later on. But he would be my number 2 right behind him. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, the finalists, Abdul Carter, Nick Emanwori, James Pierce Jr., Carson Schwessinger from the Cleveland Browns, and Xavier Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame that's playing for the Atlanta Falcons. I was kind of back and forth on this one, but my pick would probably be, I like the Schwessinger kid, man, for the Cleveland Browns. I think he played phenomenal all year long. He was the most consistent. If it's not him, I give it to Nick Emanwori, who was one of my favorite players in the draft last year. If Seattle got him, I knew he was going to be a huge piece for them, kind of solidifying that defense. Tall guy, 6'3", 6'4", runs a 4.3, not afraid to tackle, got good ball skills. I would probably give it to Schwessinger, but my guy right behind him would be Nick Emanwori is who I would pick. Those are the NFL awards, and my picks are my predictions of who I think is going to win it. They'll give out those awards, I think, after this week. So the week in between now and the Super Bowl, they'll give out those awards. But those will be my picks for it. Let's look at some of the NBA games here before we get off here tonight. Games on the carousel for tonight. My Houston Rockets taking on the Philadelphia 76ers right now. It's a 2-point game in the middle of the second quarter. Rockets been off to a pretty good start this year. Got a huge, huge win versus San Antonio the other night, man. Kevin Durant really stepped up big in that game, kind of helped lead the charge and keep us afloat while we were trailing for majority of that game. But then Reed Shepherd stepped in and really, really started making some plays. They were able to win that game 111-106. Spurs and the Rockets right there for two of the best teams in the West. Obviously, Oklahoma City is the class of not only the West but the entire NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be my MVP pick again. I know some people got voters fatigue, but if we ain't get voters fatigue with Jokic, we not finna start getting voters fatigue with SGA or with these other guys. Cause yeah, I'm not even gonna go into it, but yeah, we're not. If we were willing to give Jokic 3 of them, we need to be willing to give SGA the ones he's deserving. They still got the best record by far in the NBA. Dude is averaging 32 points and 7 assists. Like, what else do you want him to do? But right behind them, the Spurs and the Rockets have been playing some of the best basketball, if not the best basketball in the West. The Rockets have obviously had their struggles with no point guard, but it gives you hope when you see a performance like a couple of nights ago when they beat the Spurs and you see a Reed Shepherd come off the bench and get you 21 points. He can be instant offense. He's little. People try to look for him in the pick and rolls. He played better on the defensive side of the ball. He's learning, man. This is his first real year of playing. He's still learning, but he's got a lot of backup. It's easier to play defense when you got, Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith and Dorian Finney-Smith Jr. and Tari Eason and Clint Capella. When you got those guys behind you, it's easier. Steve Adams will come back and make that a little bit easier for him as well. But I was encouraged by what I seen out of the Rockets the other day, man. Really good game. I got them against Philly tonight. They're in the middle of a battle. Just started over on Prime Video, the game for tonight, Golden State versus Dallas. Like I said before, I know we thought Dallas would be good, but I don't know if we're to that point in the year yet where they can start tweaking games and taking guys off of TV and putting them on. But can we please stop putting the Warriors on TV? They play horrible basketball. They just got blown out by 30-something the other day by the Raptors. It's ugly ball. No one wants to watch. Draymond's just out there. If Steph Curry's not on, the Warriors are hard to watch. Dallas battling all these injuries, so they didn't know they were going to be this bad. But they're bad. So can we stop putting Dallas on TV? Can we stop putting Golden State on TV? Nobody wants to see that anymore. They suck. They suck. The Warriors are 8th in the West. They suck. I think they're going to fall all the way out of that now that Jimmy Butler's torn his ACL out for the year. Hopefully they trade Kuminga and finally free him. But I would take give me Dallas in this game. They're playing at home. Golden State sucks. Dallas sucks. I'll just go ahead and go with Dallas on this one. Chicago and Minnesota. Give me Minnesota, man. Anthony Edwards has been playing out of his mind. I think he was really the only snub I could say from All-Star starter this year. I think they gave that last spot to Luka to kind of help make up the world, USA versus the world thing. But Anthony Edwards definitely got snubbed, averaging just under 30 points a game. Has this Minnesota team competing in the West, and I don't think this roster is that good, honestly. Naz Reid's missed time. Rudy Gobert's missed time. Anthony Edwards has been the one constant, and he has been balling. Just put a 50 ball on the Spurs the other day, even though they weren't able to win that game. That was kind of more of just the team not being good enough. But Anthony Edwards doing his thing. Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight in that game. Spurs and Utah playing tonight. No one wants to watch Utah play, including the people that live in Utah. Give me San Antonio in that game. The night game, Clippers versus the Lakers. Prime Video said this is NBA rivalry week. And the first game for rivalry week was Golden State and Dallas. I'm not sure if that's ever been a rivalry. And then the night game will be the Lakers and the Clippers. Clippers actually playing way better basketball. They started the season off terrible. They started the season off as bad as you could start it off. But man, had they put together some wins in their last about 10 to 15 games. They're coming into this game. They lost to the Bulls the other night, but previous to that, they had won 6 in a row. Previous to that, they went on another 7-game winning streak, or 6-game winning streak. So they're starting to put it together. Kawhi's healthy and balling. Dropped 50 the other night, and then dropped 40-something a couple nights after that. James Harden still getting buckets. I don't know why people thought James Harden would get bad at basketball. Is he going to play defense? Is he a little bit fatter, out of shape? Sure. But he can get 30 and 10 any night still right now. It's going to be a fun game. Clippers always smack the Lakers whenever they play, so give me the Clippers in this game. I don't know what it is with the Lakers and the Clippers. Clippers seem to always smack the Lakers, but I'll be tuned in to watch that game at 9 o'clock tonight. Those are some of the games coming on. And then the other night game, Miami versus Portland. Portland's actually surprisingly pretty decent this year, but I'll take Miami. They've been putting it together the last couple of weeks. Those NBA games on the slate for tonight. Folks, out of time here today on Centex Primetime. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. Like I said, MCC basketball, we won't have it this Saturday. The game was rescheduled to February the 2nd. So we won't have MCC basketball again until next week on Wednesday. They'll be playing against Hill. You'll be able to catch all that action right here on Centex Sports Network. We'll be back next week here on Centex Primetime. We'll get the crew back in here. We'll discuss AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game. Baylor's got some big games coming up on the basketball schedule as well. We'll talk about all of those. Appreciate everybody for watching. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell so you can get notified every time that we go live here on Centex Sports Network. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody stay warm. Have a great weekend.
I don't pretend I'm one of the best, so give me respect, 'cause it what it is.